So if you're like me and you play and collect, but you don't have a ton of extra money or don't have money to invest in like super expensive cards, but want to pick up things that you might be able to hold or move later, and get some level of return on your investment without having a ton of capital to play around with, you might be interested by this video. So today we're going to take a look at 10 cards under $2 that I think might be worth picking up as a bit of a long-term hold. Now, I don't know exactly when these will or won't go up. It's more so just some things I've noticed based on market trends and whether or not cards are good, have future potential, and so forth. Obviously, I'll just put this out there. Any advice, advisement, whatever, take at your own risk. Certainly, I am not telling you to go out and buy these cards. I'm just telling you that they might be worth picking up if you're looking for some cards to pick up for a very low price that could have some future gains. But before we get into the video, just want to ask you guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel already, please go ahead and click that sub button. We're trying to get to 3,100 by November 1st. Right now we are there with 3,102 as of today. We still got 5 days to go. As long as we're at 3,100 by the start of the month, we will be doing a giveaway for the month of November. So click that button if you haven't already. Now, today's video, like I said, 10 cards under $2. I used the market price for the determinant for this, so there could be a slight fluctuation, but I was trying to keep it to stuff that's really cheap and that I think has potential to go up. I have a lot of these cards. I've bought a lot of these cards, so I don't know whether or not there's any like validity to them, but I think they're neat, and I tried to find some that were kind of scattered and don't have a ton of reprints. So let's start off Lifelessly Fish. This is from Rise of the Duelist. This card is really good. It's just that Fish doesn't have much support at all. When it's normal summoned, or when it's summoned at all, apparently, you can send one fish monster back to the graveyard except itself. Then you can banish it from the grave, target 3 fish monsters, shuffle them back into the deck, and draw 1 card. This is essentially just a really, really good combo card for any deck that may utilize fish. If we get fish archetypes down the line that are really good, this card will be one of the things you'd want to look to play. I mean, being able to mill stuff is great, being able to shuffle your monsters back is great, and this doesn't need to trigger off of a normal summon, so there's a lot of reasons to look at this as a card that people may want to pick up. Now, it is 75 cents, give or take, so it's just under $1. Some sellers have multiple, although not a ton. I think you'll see it pushes up to like $1 and change. It's a decent investment. I have a playset personally, and I think it's one of those things that like you could probably pick up anywhere between 3 to 6 and just kind of hold them, wait and see whether or not we get fish support that actually makes it warrant playing down the line. Now, the second one is Nemesis Corridor. This card is in Eternity Code, so it's not that old, and it's only 50 cents. But the reason I bring this card to attention is that with Thunder Dragon Colossus, this card is basically a one-card Colossus. So you can use this, target a banished monster, shuffle it back into the deck, then special summon this card, which you've immediately then made Colossus's effect live. You contribute this to bring it out from the deck. That means almost in any deck that plays banished monsters at all, you can use this without needing to play Thunder Dragons. Now, obviously, yes, Colossus is banned, but there are a lot of people who think it's going to come back, and there are some people who think it wouldn't matter whether or not this card was around for it to come back. I mean, this isn't a ban list video, so I'm not going to get into that too much, but I will say it is a little scary to think of the easy, generic way you might go make that with just this one card. Now, it's decent in and of itself, being a level 4 Thunder. You can special just by shuffling a banished monster back. Not bad overall. It does a lot of neat things, and obviously within its own deck it has some combos, but you're not really going to use it for that all that much. At this price, you may even have some of these in bulk. You may even have some of these that you've been holding on to for a while. I would say pick a couple up. At the very least, pull out some you have, put a playset aside, because if Colossus comes back, this is going to be a card people look to, and at 35 cents in a set that doesn't have a ton of value on their supers, it could be worth. Now, third one, Fossil Fusion. So this was in Battles of Legend Armageddon. I've always thought fossils were a really, really cool archetype, and I'm definitely excited to see what kind of things we might see come out of this. Right now, there's not a lot of fossil decks doing anything. We've seen some without Emancipator, some like hybrid decks, and I think the fusions are really fun. But this card is only 71 cents. And if the fossil archetype, or just in general a deck that plays that engine well, ever comes to fruition, this is going to be a card that will have value. We've seen it with almost every fusion spell before. We've seen it with Shadal Fusion. We've seen it with Ancient Gear Fusion. We've seen it with pretty much any archetypal fusion spell, especially one that is, you know, as solid as this is. So I think it might just be decent to have. You even see some of the support cards like Miracle Rupture having similar usage, but it's a little bit more expensive. I just think this is an underrated card right now in terms of its value. I could easily see it being a $5 to $8 card if it was going to see play. Being basically fusion summon any fossil fusion monster, banishing monsters from either grave, and then that monster gets immunity from monster effects, as well as this card can add itself back to the hand. So there's just a lot of things about it that are nice. And like I said, at 71 cents, Can't really go wrong. True King of all Calamity is another one. And just to specify, if you are going to pick these up, I'm only really recommending the Maximum Crisis. I think a lot of people prefer first edition original print. It did come super in Mystic Fighters. It's not that much of a price difference, but if this card long-term were to be something that would get any type of spike in value, it would be this one. I'll be honest, I'm not super confident about this one as a whole, just because I do think it could get banned. But we have seen that even some of the new archetypes coming out can make this. Decks now, like Fluffles, can make this. It's a really, really good card, and it's not super hard to get because it was printed, you know, within the past year as a super, but like I said, people like original rarity. At the very least, I would say at least have one on hand if you're the type of person that wants to have this just to be able to play. I like to keep a copy of, you know, every extra deck monster so that if I need to go into them, I have access to it without having to pay on any price spikes. So Calamity's not bad. Maximum Crisis, you can get a first ed for about $1.50. Wouldn't be bad to just have one. Alright, next one, Prohibit Snake. This card actually saw a little bit of hype for a while. This picture's a tiny bit blurry. I tried to find the best I could, but weirdly there weren't many. At the start of the damage step, if your Cyber Slink monster battles an opponent's monster, you send this card to the graveyard from your hand, and then return that opponent's monster to the hand. So this was seeing some play in Salamangreat at one point. It's definitely a neat, like, hand trap-ish card, although I just don't know how effective it is in any type of current format. When your Cyber monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, while this card is in the grave, you can banish one card from your graveyard, then target a level 4 or lower Cybers in your grave, add it to your hand. So it can grab itself back, and it is non-targeting removal. So that's another really neat thing it has going for it. You basically can make any Cyber Slink, attack, discard, bounce something off the field without targeting it, and then get it back to use later. This was in Fist of the Gadgets, which was a notoriously bad set. There's a couple value cards in there, but this doesn't have any other prints. It's about 50 cents. I would definitely recommend having a playset of this. It feels like anytime a Cyber's archetype comes up or has any type of significance, this may be a card that you can see as an option, whether you're facing, you need to break a board. I would just say a card like this, barring a reprint, has potential to hit, $3, $4 down the line, because it's just a generically decent card within its type class. Alright, next one. This one's probably a little late to the party on this, I'm going to be honest, but I was trying to find 10 cards that are under 2 that maybe haven't been excessively talked about, and this was another one that came up. Cherubini, Burning Abyss. This is $1.65, so it's almost $2, really kind of pushing it. This one's for the Megatin. Obviously, I think Secret Rare First Ed is the way to go if you want one, but if you don't have the money for that, and you want to have one of these for future use, just being a generically really good card, and with BA getting hype, with Phantom Knights getting new support, and we don't know. I mean, Burning Abyss might get more cards that come out. The ban list obviously gave us back Searing Graph, so I think you could see this card easily rising from where it's at now with just a little bit passage of time. I mean, the Megatins only came out in August. Just a really good card in general. Like I said, get the secrets if you can, but this is meant to be more of a budget investment video, so I wouldn't go crazy with that. You can pick this up under $2. It's definitely worth it to have a copy. But if you have a little bit of flexible spending, I would grab a couple, because I do think they could be, at the very least, easily movable later in terms of trades or getting some return on your investment. Next one, Jinzo the Machine Menace. So this is from Rage of Ra. I'm actually messing around with this deck. IRL, if you will, even though there's no real tournaments playing right now. It's a really fun deck, and honestly, I would want to do a profile for it eventually. I think Rage of Ra was just terrible as a set, and there's so little value in it, but in this particular case, this card's only $1.50. If a trap is spaceable on the field or in either graveyard, you can special summon it from your hand, and if you do, it becomes level 6 until the end of this turn. So that's just a neat extender in general. I know traps aren't super potent right now, but people still play impermanence. Other traps like Warning Point could get some looks, and if you're playing something with 6s or something that's going to do a rank 6 type spam, you can realistically play this card and utilize it later. Not to mention it has an actual decent effect where you can special summon a Jinzo from your hand and then destroy all your opponent's trap cards. More so deck specific, but this isn't a Legendary Duelist set that we have no real reason to think any type of reprint is on the horizon. It's an Ultra, and it's cheap. And it's Jinzo, so you have the nostalgia working for it too. I picked up a playset of these. I would definitely recommend getting some if you can, because at that price, it just feels like eventually it will end up going up, like a lot of the Legendary Duelist kind of nostalgia cards do, even if they're not great or even if they don't see much play. Alright. Next one, Red Nova, the secret rare specifically from Dragons of Legend 3. This did get reprinted in the Dragons of Legend set complete series as a common. Don't think it's very good to pick that up. I mean, if you have them, that's great. If a level 8 or higher dragon synchro is on the field, you can special summon it from your hand. It's neat. It's a decent extender. What I like is the second effect. If this card is sent to the grave for a synchro summon that uses 2 or more tuners, you can special summon 1 Fire Fiend from your deck in defense position. Now, that card pool is a little small, but it's definitely gotten some new support recently. And specifically, I think about Red Supernova Dragon, which is, I mean, we're going to get it sooner rather than later, I guess. That came out in the same OCG set as, Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon and the Rainbow Dragon Zenith and all that. I just think this is a card that you might look to. Now, I don't know whether or not it's going to have a place in that deck, but it's a free extender from the hand, and it replaces itself from deck, and that is not a once per turn. So if for some reason you happen to have 2, you can use that effect more than once. It's only the first effect that is a hard once per turn. This is a bit of a long shot card in general, but for $1, it's a secret rare from a set that came out, 4 years ago, I think. At the very least, if you have them, maybe pull them aside and hold on to them on the off chance that it is something people look to when Supernova comes out. Alright, Inzektor Dragonfly. We talked about Inzektors getting new support. They won the Create a Card contest. I didn't realize that there's no second print of this. I thought it was either in a Mega Pack or had an Astral Pack printing, but it didn't. So the only printing of Dragonfly that we have is the rare. Now, if the support that comes out is good, and they don't reprint this, which you think they'd be likely to, but, I mean, stranger things have happened. We saw Firefish Dragon not get reprinted for quite a while. If they don't reprint this, obviously any Inzektor deck is going to play this at 3. And it's 75 cents for the rare. That's cheap. I'm saying if you even think you might be remotely interested in playing this deck, pick up a playset of this. You're going to spend less than $3. You're going to have a copy of it. And yes, there is a chance it could get a foil bump, which would be nice and well-deserved, I think, in like an OTS pack or something. But if it doesn't, this is going to go up based simply on the fact that, you're going to need it in some capacity for the deck. And unless you have a bunch in bulk, which maybe people do, maybe people unloaded them when Inzektor support was rumored in the poll and we saw a lot of spikes. I'm not really sure, but I don't even have any yet myself. I'm planning on picking some up just to be able to have that option. And it kind of crossed my mind as one we should include because Inzektors have support on the horizon, and if it's good, this is a 3-up in the deck, and it has no other prints. So I would say definitely look into grabbing a playset of Dragonfly if you don't have them already. And lastly is Terraforming. This is the ultra rare from Dual Overload. Now, obviously, there's a ton of prints of Terraforming. So I was looking, I think this is like 19, and a lot of the commons are kind of worthless. I think the ultra is nicer than the super, but the super was in an OTS pack, so people may view that as higher rarity. You have Secret from Legendary Collection Kaiba. You also have Ulti from one of the Astral Packs. So you have your pick of the litter as far as Terraformings. But if this card were to move off the list, which for the record I don't think it should, I'm just saying it is a possibility that that could happen, every foil variant of Terraforming has gone up progressively over time. For $1 and change, if you prefer Ultra to Secret, because I think Secrets are like 4 or 5, you're not going to get Secrets at this price. But if you prefer Ultra to Secret, or even if you just think that you want to, you don't have a full set of foil Terraformings and you'd like to have that, not a huge fan of the supers, personally. They kind of warp a little bit, I think, just the way a lot of those old Astral Pack cards did. So that's really personal preference. But it's already seen a steady rise from, like 75 cents when Dual Overload came out to doubling in price over the past year. I think it'll just keep to climb. I think eventually, as just being an ultra generic staple card, especially if there's any type of list movement, you could see this going up to $4 or $5 if it were to come back to 3. We saw it happen with Solemn Judgment. We saw it happen with Book of Moon. A lot of other cards that just have foil upgrades. Most of their foil upgrades elevated. So it's definitely one of the things I think is worth throwing out there. First time kind of trying this type of video, so let me know what you guys thought. I thought it'd be interesting to maybe take a look at some lesser talked about cards and put some potential investments out there. If you guys enjoyed this type of video, I may look to do some more in the future. I'm not super into the market, although I do follow it pretty well, and I watch a lot of the Market Watch videos, but I didn't want to do like a direct Market Watch thing either. So this is my recommended investments. Like I said, invest at your own risk, but a lot of these cards are cards I've picked up and I'm kind of hoping on. And, at worst case scenario, if you were to pick up a play set of everything here that I've shown, it's going to cost you less than $30. So the risk is low versus the potential reward. But again, you may want to put your money elsewhere. And if you do, then certainly I don't blame you in the slightest. Go ahead and drop comments down below. Let me know what type of things you guys are investing in, what you're looking to pick up if you have some extra money. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time right here at Love Shack.